I wanted to make a video because today and the past few days I feel like some narratives that I used to tell myself have been coming up, and I'm like, whoa, like I'm realizing that I started believing them. And some of the things that were coming up have to deal with like, okay, so I'll just be transparent. Just me thinking that like I'm never gonna change, that things are never gonna happen for me, like that I'm always gonna experience the same reality that I experience, but I know that is not true because I have experienced different realities, and I'm not really sure why these things are coming up, but they are, and I am trying to just observe them and not attach to them. I was just looking back on old pictures that I have, because my Google Photos app, it'll like come up as like, oh, this happened so and so years ago, and I'm like, oh, cool, okay, let's go look at what happened so and so years ago. And I look at these photos of myself and I can just remember the kind of like mindset that I was in. I didn't really love myself, and I can see that. And I just remember like when I did live in Virginia, there was a time like where I was like bigger than I had ever been in my whole life. And like, looking back on that, like I know that I felt uncomfortable during that time. Like I felt very unsettled, but it's also good, I guess, for me to have that weight because I've always kind of struggled with eating disorder. I never was open about that because in society, people will have stereotypes for those that struggle with like, mental disorders or eating disorders. People who don't struggle with those things can't really empathize or relate because it is like something in the mental space. Body dysmorphia too is something that I struggled with, and so I don't know, it's just really good to reflect on these things with myself and see like how much I really have changed. And I think that me recording this video is going to be helpful just for reflection, even just talking out loud to myself. I recently deactivated my Instagram because I just feel like I was projecting a lot of stuff in that space, and I don't want to do that. And I really just want to uncover what it is that I'm feeling uncomfortable to feel, because that's really what it is. It's uncomfortable to look at some of these narratives that I told myself or how I treated myself, and nobody really knows the extent of that, the extent of degree in which I've done that, because I've kept a lot of things to myself. Part of like my depression has been self-isolation, and in that I can isolate myself from everyone and everything, even when I know that like I need help. And this is just because like I'm very much a person that's really self-aware. That can be a good and sometimes a bad thing, I guess, but yeah, anyways, I want to share this moment with myself, and also with others for transparency, because I feel like, there was a time when I was like really depressed in 2017. I was going to college in Lawrence, Kansas, and I didn't have a whole lot of friends, like at all. And the friends that I did have were like out of state, and I wasn't reaching out to them, and I actually like blamed them for not reaching out to me and checking up on me. And that's when I started self-harming, pretty bad, and I just kind of stayed in my dorm room like all the time. I didn't really go to classes. reflecting back on that is really interesting though. But yeah, and then I left that campus and eventually ended up coming back home to Cedar Rapids. But my journey here on the earth has been quite interesting. It's been quite heavy. But like, I know that all of that experience is going to be used as like inner wisdom to have, and to be able to relate to people like that struggle with depression, and just to be able to connect with people in that way. I feel grateful for, because depression, it can really take you down a lot of dark avenues, you know? And I just want to share with people that there is hope to come out of that. There is hope to live. And I know that sometimes, like, even me and my depression recently, like, it feels like nobody cares, but really it's just like, am I caring about myself? And if I'm honest with myself, I haven't always cared about myself, because I didn't feel worthy or deserving of that. And that, like, is a reflection of something that, a reflection of a narrative that I adopted when I was a kid. And I remember this because I remember journaling and just feeling like my parents didn't care, so why should I? And as a kid, it's really hard to try to tell yourself something positive, especially like in the state of consciousness that young people are in. You know, we're told that everything outside of us is who we are, or defines who we are. And so, that being said, you know, our parents, you know, the way that they treat us defined who we are, you know, in our mindset at that time. And we don't know any better to tell ourselves, like, no, that doesn't define who we are. That's just a reflection of them and their life experience. And so now I've had to undergo really reparenting myself, and reparenting that story that my inner child told itself. And sometimes it's really heavy to go through those emotions, but I know that if I really want to get to the root of it, that I have to go through that. And that I know in life that this isn't something that's just gonna go away. It's gonna keep on cycling back around. And I am working towards giving myself grace and compassion for those cycles, because another narrative that I don't know, adopted somehow, some way, is that once I've addressed these things, that they're not going to come back. And that just kind of sets me up for just not feeling good in the future, because, like, the reality of it is life is always goes in cycles. And so these cycles of emotions, they're going to keep on coming back, and that's just a reality, and that's okay. And to be able to tell myself that we are going to lovingly get through this, because I deserve to speak to myself in a loving way, and I deserve to hold space for myself and all of those parts of myself, and they deserve love, you know? And it's so interesting also to just like look back and see how like disconnected I felt from other people, and like their love for me too. Because often, you know, I have the subconscious belief that I am not lovable. And so in that, I will push people away so that I don't feel like I'm lovable. So I'm just gonna sage myself some, because I think this is helpful for myself to take care of. Something that I've been working on is taking care of myself in my mind, body, and soul. And saging myself helps my soul. And I realized, like, in the past few days that there was moments where, you know, I was taking care of myself. Like, I was brushing my teeth. Yes, that's something that I do like note, because like when it comes to depression and anxiety and stuff like that, I didn't take care of myself in that way. I didn't brush my teeth. I wouldn't really shower. And although that's embarrassing to say, that's just the truth and the reality of where I was at. And so now I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, I brushed my teeth today, and I brushed my teeth twice. It's little moments like that that I have with myself that I'm grateful that I'm taking care of myself in that way. And for a while, it felt like a lot to take care of myself in that kind of way, or, you know, just setting up dentist appointments and like healthcare appointments. Like, it always feels like a drag, but at the end of the day, I'm glad that I took care of myself in that way. And it just goes to show the kind of things that I learned, you know, and the family system that I was in. I come from a very dysfunctional, addictive kind of family, and there's a lot of addiction and dysfunction, and in that, you know, it's people don't take care of themselves mentally, emotionally, physically, and they're so like in their pain and wanting to escape that pain and not feel it, that the drug or whatever that they're using takes over. And so I'm grateful that that is not something that I've had to experience to that degree. As far as like drugs, I have thought about it, because there have been moments in my life when I did not want to exist, and I didn't want to feel anything. But I knew ultimately that making that kind of choice would not lead me anywhere productive or progressive. It would just destroy me even more. And I don't know, I guess somewhere I knew inside that I had the strength, and I do have the strength to get through whatever I'm going through, no matter how much like I perceive it as challenging or uncomfortable, or just the thoughts in my head seem to like magnify, as far as like, you know, me telling myself, or my thoughts just thinking that I'm never gonna change, or like things will never change. Just, I don't know, I should probably be more mindful of the certain thoughts and write them down, so that I can like be more transparent about that, so that, you know, if there are people out there that can relate to those kind of thoughts, that they can know that they're not alone. But yeah, I just wanted to have this moment with myself, because I noticed that I've kind of been going and not really sitting to have a moment with myself, which is like a learned behavior. But I hope to show up in the YouTube space more, and to be able to put out more videos. For me, it's just probably gonna just be like a digital diary kind of thing, there was a point in time where I did that like in 2016, but I never uploaded the videos. I have them like on lock, and I don't know, I would just come on here and like reflect with myself, and then allow the reflections that I've had to be something that maybe other people can see themselves in, and to know that, like, for me, I'm very much a person of I like raw, transparent authenticity. So like, I'm not gonna edit anything out. Like, I was crying, I'm okay to cry. Like, and I'm not doing this for attention, but more so to just be transparent with my human journey. Like, sometimes we need to see people cry. We need to have permission, like, we need to give ourselves permission that it's not weak to cry, you know, that is just a way that energy is coming through and wanting to be cleansed. And so, yeah, and staying authentic to like who I am, and not comparing myself to how other people are on YouTube, is something that I really want to do as well. Like, I want to just organically share, you know, my intentions aren't really even to have a big platform, but to just put out information, and whoever resonates, and if you don't resonate, you know, that's okay. But I hope you have a beautiful day, Alyssa.